Welcome to the Crafty Mini, and Happy New Year to everyone. Hope everyone's had a good festive period, Christmas and whatnot. And here we are into the next season. So we're going to do a bit more of the miniature painting side for this season, just because I've had a lot of people asking for it and they want to see the sort of full processes. So I'm starting off with this Turtle Wizard miniature that you might have seen in the unboxing video a few days ago. And with these miniature painting videos, what I'm going to be doing is putting the full process unedited up as well, so you can see absolutely every step in detail. Whereas these videos are just going through the, a lot of the other videos were just going through each of the steps and explaining what it is I'm doing. Right, so onto the miniature. So started off with an olive drab base coat all over, and then I decided I wanted a purpley blue cloak. So I've gone up from a dark Prussian blue right the way up to violet, and I'll just keep adding violet in for the next layer of highlights and just slowly building it up. Then you get this really nice layered effect. And like now on the camera it looks quite blue on there, but it ends up, the actual edge highlights become this this violet purple colour, and it pops really well, and it's a nice contrast to the sort of natural colours of the turtle itself. Okay, so at this point we're coming up to the last few layers of highlights. This is where I'm adding more and more of the violet. You can see it's on the video there, so it's going from that dark blue in the recesses to the violet as the lights caught it from on top. And it's just a case of just keep adding very thin layers. It does take a while, but the overall effect at the end is worth it, rather than putting a thick layer on that's just going to smudge and it's going to look, it's just not going to look very nice. But that's the finished product on the cloak. Now it looks a little bit dark at the moment, but once all the other colours in the miniature are on, it's going to start to pop. So with the green, I've just taken some intermediate green by Vallejo, mixed it in with the olive brown to start with, 1 to 1, and just doing that as a base coat, and then I add more of the intermediate green, going 2 to 1, 3 to 1 and so on for each of the layers, just to do the extra highlights, same as we've done on the cloak, just multiple layers to build up the colour and the texture, and it just makes the skin pop. And you'll notice certain areas like between the legs, and because of the way the shape of the body is on this, and the lowest part of the underside of the shell, I'm not bothering to do much than just the first base coat on those. You're not going to see it, and I want everything on top to pop, because the cloak's sort of like the statement colour on it, and then the staff when we get to that later on, and the skin, I just want those extreme highlights and certain details like the knuckles and the ridges on the tail when we get to those. Right, so the final highlights of the skin, I'm actually adding lime green to this, so the previous mixture, just to give it that extra brightness, and these are for the most extreme highlights. And I'll also use pure lime green for the eye, the one eye that's visible from under the hood. It just ties it all together, and because I'm using that initial base that I've already pre-mixed, the steps leading from it to each highlight isn't as extreme, and it just looks a bit more natural. The same reasoning for why I'm using the base coat colour, the olive green, throughout all of my miniatures. So I've mixed a bit in with the blue for the cloak for the base coat, the green for the skin. I do the same for the shell later on, just so you've got that natural tone that runs through the entire paint job. I'm only worried about the raised areas, nothing else. Just taking my time going through every detail that I want to pick out, and you can see there, that's the start of the skin being done. And again, this looks a bit dark, but once all the details are done, it's going to pop. So onto the shell. So I've got the olive brown again, mixed in with a little flat earth by Vallejo. Done that as the base colour for the shell pieces, and then I'm adding just bits of the flat earth on top, and I'm going to be grading from dark brown to the olive brown throughout the shell, so you get that nice striped effect that you see on turtles and tortoises. And this shell was just really fun to do. And then once I've dotted the darker pieces on, I go in, I add a little bit of Prussian blue to the olive brown and dot in on there, and you'll see now on this camera shot, and it's really made the shell pop. Really happy with the effect on this. Right, so on to some of the details. So it's mainly the strapping. There's a little leather book and a necklace with a few items on. Those are the main sort of intricate details on this miniature. So I'm just going in now, and you can see on the wet palette there, so this is the shell colours I've used. I've just added a bit of yellow ochre just to brighten it, because I don't want to do brown strapping, so I've just gone for this colour. It stands out enough from the shell that you can notice it, and it picks up the details, and you just add more of the yellow ochre to edge highlight it. Really simple. You can see that I'm reusing as many of the colours as I can on the miniature. And then for the underside of the shell, I've just gone for the flat earth brown, yellow ochre in a nice mix. It's like an orangey brown colour, and I'm just doing that for the underside of the shell, and again adding more of the yellow ochre just to give it more highlight. But it's a really simple way of painting. You don't need hundreds of colours, you know, you just use the 4 or 5 that you're using from the start, and because you're mixing those together, and I think it comes out with better blends in the end, and everything matches a bit more because there are those neutral colours that are within every single piece of this miniature. Like the olive brown and the Prussian blue is in every single piece. It just makes everything pop and looks nice. And you'll see now on the photo that's coming up. So it looks like a naturally leather. It's enough to differentiate each piece from the shell, both on top and below, and it breaks everything up. Right, so onto the flame staff. So the shaft itself is going to be brown, pretty simple. For the flame, I've just given it a base coat initially all over of this ochre brown that we've used on the strapping, just to make the yellow paint that I'm going to be putting on just to adhere to it better, because yellow is notoriously bad on pigments. Right, just while we're waiting for that staff to dry, because I'm going to varnish everything, just wanted a bit more warmth in the top shell, so I'm just going over with some Resin Flesh Shade. And it just adds this bit of warmth, and it brings the two browns together. And same with the underside as well. Just makes those a bit more orangey, so it sets it apart from the straps and other things. And then I've done the same with the skin, except this time with a Thonian camo shade from Citadel. It's just a nice green wash, and it's there just to tie all the green together. And again, these leave quite a glossy finish, so I'll matte these back down with some varnish later on. But it's just a nice way of tying all the colours together and just making it look a bit more uniformed, and any of those recesses that you might have accidentally gone over, this will go into and darken slightly. Okay, so that's with all the washes done. Now onto the staff. So I'm just using 2 colours, so Iandan Yellow from Citadel and some flat red from Vallejo. And you see it's a really simple process, so I'm going to start on in the centre of the staff where the flames will be red, and just popping that all over. Not being very neat with this at all. And then I'll go in with the yellow and feather it and start to wet blend on the actual miniature itself. So you can see there initially on my palette I'm just mixing a bit of orange just to do in between. And then the very extremes of the staff will do pure yellow. And this is a really simple technique. You just keep going back and forth to the colours between the light and the dark, blending them on the miniature till you get the effect that you want. So for me, I just want the very tips of the flame to be yellow, and the more middle and the end of the actual staff that you can see on the miniature, I want that to be in orange, and in the very, very deep recesses of red. It just makes it look like it's on fire. And again, it's a nice accent piece and breaks up the monotony of the natural colours of the turtle, same as the violet cloak does as well. But you can see here, just going back and forth, adding to the extremities. Now obviously with this method you've got to wait a bit longer for it to dry. But that's fine, just put it to the side and leave it. And if you need to come back in later, you can just add accent colours for the extreme highlights. Now on the video that I'll upload with this, where it's the completely unedited, you'll see that each step in more detail than I'm showing here. So you can see exactly how I've gone back and forth on like the wet blending, the layers on the cloaks and the shell and things. And if anyone, any tips or anything people would like to know, just give me a message, hit me up on a comment, and I'm happy to share. That's the fire staff. It's starting to come together now, and it's looking like a nice miniature. So this is for a D&D campaign. It's going to be a character of mine, so I want to do a nice base for him. So I've just got a standard black base that he came with when I bought the miniature. I've marked out where his feet are going to be, as you can see there, and just some Geek Gaming Scenics glue, and then this base ready, which is just a mixture of a couple of basing bags I've had over the past. It's got some tea leaves in there, and anytime I use flock or clump foliage and any little bits, they just get chucked in there, same with any small pebbles, and it just builds up over the time. And it's just got a nice sort of generic woodland effect to it. And I just go through and I just pick out some bits that I like. So there's bits of like green foam and things that look like nice little shrubs. And just add a bit of colour. And just glue those on, and then I'll put a nice tuft on afterwards. So I've got a box of tufts that I've kept over the years. And then there's this one in particular I really like. And just when I pull it off, I always do it over the top of the main basing material. Just because any bits that get knocked off get mixed into that. And it just makes a nice, it also looks like a flower tuft. And then what I do, once that's dry, I go in and I actually paint each of the individual petals, as it were, on there. Different colours to make it look like a little flower bush. And it's a nice way of just giving a bit more accent than just, you know, standard grass tuft to your base. You see here, so I'm just going in with a bit of the red. I'll do a bit of yellow and a bit of orange. I'm just picking out some of those individual pieces, not being too neat with it, but it just breaks up the monotony of the green bush and just makes it look like a nice little flower patch that's on the base. Simple and effective method. You can use all sorts of colours. I've done ones with like blues and greens on in the past. White flowers are quite nice because they stand out. And then the base gets a full blast with some sealant spray, which is effectively it's watered down PVA glue. But I bought this from Geek Gaming Scenics. It's lasted me 3 years now. It's rare that I use it, but it just seals everything in, all those little bits on the base, all the tea leaves and things. Seals it in, and they will not fall off, they will not move at all. But a really nice simple basing material. And once that's dry, glue it all together and you'll see the glamour shots now. And here he is all done. Really happy with this miniature. So got an idea for a name. He's going to be a Warlock for a D&D campaign. And just a bit of fun. The shell in particular I'm really happy with. That's come out lovely. And I'm happy with the cloak. I mean, it's not the best and neatest paint job I can do, but for game ready it's took me about 2 hours tops, and a lot of that's just waiting for the layers to dry. But I'm really happy with this paint job. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. This season is going to be a lot more painting miniatures, because a lot of you have been asking either in the comments or privately messaging. So we've got some stuff, all those miniatures you've seen on the unboxing from BBEG Minis, and some cool Christmas presents that I got bought as well. We'll be painting those on the channel. But thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.
Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, humans. It does help this little channel grow. Thank you all very much for watching. Tatty bye.